This is part 10, the final part of our 2021 cruise. In this part, we are leaving Falmouth and heading back via Cardiff to our home port of Portishead. From the Solent, we've travelled west, heading back home. This adventure has been in 10 parts, covering around 750 nautical miles. On the homeward journey, this last part, part 10, is the longest, and we are heading from Falmouth all the way back to the Bristol Channel. Because of the tides, we're going to be calling to Cardiff for a few hours before we head on back up to Portishead.
Okay, so it's 10 to 6 in the morning on Wednesday morning, and we're going to go for the journey home now. It's 4 3 to 5 with slight sea around Land's End, persisting all day from the sort of west, changing to the southwest. So it's not ideal. Boat can take it, it's just whether or not we're going to be comfortable going along for 24 hours with that weather coming in from the side or from the rear quarter. Should be okay, but there'll be no respite. But we're going to go for it. There's no other weather window coming. Boat is quite capable. We got enough sleep. I say that because in the middle of the night, that turned up right behind us and woke us up. After that, they're not quiet when they come in. Yeah, the Viking Star has arrived in Falmouth. Okay, we're off. It's 10 past 6. It's light. There's a big Viking Star, and we're leaving Falmouth on our way to probably anchor up, possibly onto Cardiff. We shall see. Anyway, fingers crossed it's not too bumpy. Oh, I do hope it's like this all the way.
When we arrived here last night, just a few hours ago, this was blowing over 30 knots. Well, it's just before 7 AM and we see our first sight of dolphins. So we're settling down for a nice gentle cruise, and just a few minutes later, the dolphins arrive.
Loads of them. Oh yeah.
I'm determined to get a better view, so I'm going to go out to the foredeck and have a look over the side with my camera. It's just amazing seeing dolphins swimming in front of the boat. It's a view you just don't get tired of.
So we are approaching Black Head. That is Black Head on the starboard side there. Just coming up to Lizard Point. It's still flat, a little misty. You can see Lizard flashing away, the lighthouse in the distance. Well, the dolphins are having a play again. Wonderful to see. The weather's now changed slightly. We're halfway between Lizard and Land's End, and we have a sustained 4-6 now, 23 knots straight on our nose. Having said that, it's just dropped to 20 knots, 4-5.
We are slowly approaching Land's End. It's visible almost in the distance. It's passing Land's End right now, halfway between the rock that's between Longships and Land's End itself. Dodging pot markers in a very confused sea. I picked a moment when the waves aren't too bad. If it stays like this, I'll be well happy. Every now and again the boat sort of jumps 10 feet to the right, and the wave pushes it sideways. It stays upright. There are these big Atlantic rollers coming in. Very hard to see on the camera though. Wanderlust is fitted with stabiliser fins, which are gyroscopically operated. That means any big waves we have coming in from the side don't tilt the boat, because the boat will actively respond. But this is the first time I've ever seen water in the cockpit that's coming in through the scupper vents. So they are actually, believe it or not, quite big waves. The stabiliser fins are hydraulically operated and controlled from the Naiad system. It's gyroscopically controlled, and you can see the fins positions moving up and down on the display. Well, so far this has been a great journey. The weather's been pretty kind to us, and all we have to do is just sit down and relax and try and stay alert, because on a journey like this it's always fatigue which plays its part. Smile for the camera! Go on! It's starting to get dark now, Ange. How far have we got to go? Do you know?
90 miles.
I can see from here, 77.61. So that's to Cardiff, if we go to Cardiff.
How many miles would it be to Portishead?
Oh crikey. You can add it's not quite that straightforward, but you can probably add about another 19 on. But you can't go straight there because of the tides.
Yeah, my 90 wasn't that far off.
Okay.
We just came up to Heartland Point, where we could have stopped to anchor at Clovelly overnight, but we decided, rather the skipper has decided, that we're going to carry on to Penarth, by which time we'll have been going for 25 hours. We'll absolutely be exhausted, so we'll have to get some shut-eye when we get there.
Okay, we're ready for night running now. We have all the screens dimmed, and we have our little watch timer. So you press this just to tell it you're still awake. There you go. Alarm goes off if you don't press it. It's not quite like Lost where you have to enter the numbers, but you get the idea. We're now running at night, so we have all the white lights turned off. We have red floor lights so we can walk about the boat, and we have our searchlight which is switched on, and that is it now, illuminating the water a couple hundred meters ahead of us to look out for pot markers. It's a very, very powerful floodlight. Well, it's 3:29 AM and I'm alone on watch. It's perfectly okay to walk around the decks on this boat in the dark, because we have a Portuguese bridge which keeps you very safe. Wow, we've got about 15 nautical miles to go before we get to Cardiff. And it's lovely and calm now. We're cruising along in the dark with our wonderful spotlight and searchlight on, so we can see
pretty much any lobster pot that pops up in our face. Wonderful. Have a look. I don't know if you can see it there in the distance, but that is our light. With using your actual eyes rather than the camera, it's a lot more evident how bright that is. I can see anything in the water that's 200 metres in front of us. It stands out like a rabbit in the headlight. It's anything that's in the water pops up in view, giving us time to miss it. Hinkley Point power station. They're making a new nuclear power station in the Bristol Channel. We've increased speed now to try and get to Cardiff before the tide changes too much. We're about 6.8 miles away now. About another hour. It's Cardiff in the distance, getting nearer. Only a couple of miles to go now.
Well, there's no wind, but believe me, there is tide. Very deceptive. It's probably running around 3 knots at the moment. It's quite a powerful tide in this part of the world. We're going to Penarth Marina, which is inside Cardiff Bay, so we have to lock into Cardiff Bay. We're following a buoyed channel which heads into Cardiff docks, but before we get there we divert off to port and we go into the barrage locks. Obviously, being quite early in the morning, there isn't much traffic, just fishing boats, so we have the lock to ourselves. At peak times, these 3 locks can get very busy, and in fact you have to book yourself a slot to leave the bay. I've said this before in part 1 of this video series. When you do it properly, there is no one about to see you do it. As soon as we exit the lock, we are heading sharp to port into Penarth Marina. This is Penarth Marina. Now this is normally straight through. The lock gates open both sides at the same time, allowing you straight through without having to stop. This time we're being allocated a space in the inner basin, so it's right down the far end, and we soon find our spot. This is Penarth Marina. It's very tranquil, very quiet. Everyone is now waking up and we are now ready for bed. We've been on the go for 25 hours. It's 171 miles. But we are tired and we're going to get some shut-eye if we can before moving to Portishead on the next tide.
There we are. Cardiff Bay Barrage, just walking down. Good look, having an ice cream. Lovely. We're off this afternoon. 3 o'clock block we decided to be in Penarth, so we've been back to Portishead a couple hours later. And that'll be the end of our journey.
We've come down to Cardiff Barrage to see what the approach looks like when the tide is out. There you have a red and a green buoy. But trust me, at night that's got a red light on it. And that's not normally there. It should be over there. It should be there. So when you come from this direction, it acts as a green buoy, or as a red buoy if you're going into the main docks. So if you're coming through the barrage locks, it acts as a green buoy. So as you exit this lock, you must treat it as a green buoy, even though it is predominantly red, and then you turn and go this way. Well, if you're confused by that, you're not alone. Using the same buoy as red or green, depending on which channel you want to be on, great. The only trouble is, at night, the green buoy has got a red light on it.
Yeah, isn't it? You greedy little shove. That wasn't yours. Yeah. Oh.
All vessels waiting in the
No.
harbour now. Can you make your way into lock number 1 as far forward as possible, please?
Well, when they see us, they call us in first, I'm sure of it. It sounds like the barrage lock is busy, but we have pre-booked, so we shouldn't have a problem getting in. Five boats going out, this will be interesting. Needn't be worried, there's lots of space in the end. In the lock we came across an old friend who used to moor next to this boat in a previous boat we had whilst we were at Penarth.
What's the speed limit? I mean, honestly.
I've said this before, but things like speed limits only apply to us and not other boats.
Well, we're heading back to Portishead. We've got 3 knots of tide to help us, so we're just chugging along really slow. Lovely calm sea, and the tide is pushing us home. We'll be there for 5 o'clock. There we go. We're now running only on the wing engine. And the main is turned off. It's lovely and calm. We've got the tide with us. Don't need the stabilisers, so we're just taking advantage of a nice, smooth, gentle ride back, exercising the wing engine. We've got a little noise it's making, like a Geiger counter. And it's obviously either the high temperature or pressure stats on the engine, maybe just vibration. Now this is Cleveland now, and then ahead to Portishead. Well, this is Portishead, the upper part of Bristol Channel, and well, you don't get any lobster pots around here, and you certainly don't get any dolphins. The reason is, well, the water. It's actually quite clear today, but it's normally like hot chocolate. That's all come down the River Severn. Getting near Portishead now, here we are. Portishead Point. You see the Lido in the distance. And then literally 4 windmills, which are even now. We're turning in, and that's our home port, Portishead.
This last leg was 17 nautical miles. It took 2¼ hours. With the tide helping us, we hit 10.6 knots at one point. Well, after 7 weeks away, we're finally back at our home port of Portishead. We've travelled 751 nautical miles since we left here. You can always look back and decide you'd have done things differently, but we had a good time. I think we would have spent longer in certain places and perhaps moved along to different marinas and seen a bit more variety, but there's always next year. All in all, a great success, and nothing's gone wrong with the boat. It's been absolutely faultless. No one got seasick, no one got too drunk, and we came back with the same amount of crew that we left with. So all in all, brilliant success.
Well, we've come to the end of the 2021 cruise we did, and we're obviously back at Portishead now, our home port. So I thought I'd just do a quick recap of our fuel usage, because it's always a question people ask me, is how much fuel do you use? Well, I mean, we have these sight gauges. There's one on the starboard tank here, and we have another one on the port tank. And so pretty accurately, I can tell how much fuel is left. Okay, I've just done another measurement just to be absolutely certain. There are, well, the easy way to measure it in these tanks is to see what's missing, because I know they were filled up when we left Guernsey 3 years ago, and I can see how much diesel is missing. There's 3,307 litres missing, and we have done 1,508 nautical miles. So do the math. It works out at X amount miles a gallon. But before we do that sum, bear in mind that that does not include generator use and heating use, which has also come out of that over 3 seasons. So yeah, let's see what that comes out to. Okay, doing my sums, that works out at 0.45
nautical miles per litre.
Or I should say exactly 2 miles per gallon. That's UK gallons, where there's 4.54 litres in a gallon. So 2 miles per gallon for a boat that weighs 40 tonnes. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So actually, fuel usage is not a significant part of our boating budget. It looks to me like we did about 750 nautical miles for that trip. So that's duty-free prices in Guernsey, and it worked out about £1 a mile, so £1 a nautical mile. Pretty happy with that. Well, it's taken me a very long time to put together all 10 parts of the 2021 cruise. So if you've watched all 10 of them, thank you very much. I hope you like them. Come say hello if you see me in a marina somewhere. Yes, it's now actually March 2022, and we're looking forward to this year's cruise. So we don't know where we're going to end up, what we're going to do. There are some challenges this year, so we shall see how much time we have to go boating. But yeah, it's going to be enjoyable, whatever we do. And this year we have a new crew member. We have a little puppy. So we shall see how we get on. It's going to be different, that's for sure. Anyway, until then, bye-bye.